Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Sat Shri Srimad Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Sat Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Yamuna Mai Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So today we're reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the reading chapter 18, the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. And today we're reading text 24 and 25. Okay, so we'll recite 24 because that's on the verse, on the board. So I'll say one line and you can all repeat after me. Yetu kame psuna karma sahankarena vapuna kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasam udahartam Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam. Someone like to chant? Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam tad rajasam udahritam. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punah kriyate bahulayasam rajasam udahritam. Thank you. We'll do the word for word then. Yat, that which. Tu, but. Kama ipsuna, by one with desires for fruitive results. Karma, work. Saahankarena, with ego. Va, or. Puna, again. Kriyate, is performed. Bahula ayasam, with great labor. Tat, that. Rajasam, in the mode of passion. Udahritam, is said to be. Translation. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. So since there's no purport, we'll read the next verse as well. Anubandhang shayam hingsam anapekshya cha porusham mohad arabhyate karma yattattamasamuchyate. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage, or for violence, or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. One has to give account of one's actions to the state or to the agents of the Supreme Lord called the Yamadutas. Irresponsible work is destructive because it destroys the regulative principles of scriptural injunctions. It is often based on violence and is distressing to other living entities. Such irresponsible work is carried out in the light of one's personal experience. This is called illusion, and all such illusory work is a product of the mode of ignorance. So before speaking, I'd like to say some prayers to our spiritual masters, by whose mercy we have received this knowledge. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before beginning, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees. Please bless me that I can say something which will be pleasing to their lordships and beneficial for all of us. Thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I'll just read the texts once again. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So in the first verse here, it's talking about the attitude of working in a sense of false ego. Action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. So what is false ego? In order to understand what is false ego, we need to understand what is our real ego. So our real ego is described, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaivamso jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana, that we are eternal fragmental parts of Krishna. But manasasthan indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Due to conditional life, we are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So our actual ego, our actual identity, is that we're a part and parcel of Krishna. But due to conditioned life, we've come under the influence of these modes of material nature, and then we think that we're actually this body, the body and the mind. So when we think that we're the mind, then we become mad after gratifying the desires. Here it says, action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and is enacted from a sense of false ego, because the mind has so many desires for sense gratification. And if we think that we're the mind, then we think that these are our desires, and by fulfilling these desires, then we can become happy. But actually this is our false ego, it's not our true ego. So if we're acting in this way in illusion, then we can never attain happiness, because it's based on a wrong conception of ourself. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that our mind can be either our friend or our enemy. And that one who has controlled the mind is the best of friends, but one who has not been able to control his mind, then the mind is the greatest of enemies. So if we're working with great effort to satisfy the desires of our enemy, then we can never be happy. And how has our mind become our enemy? Because it has been taken over by lust. Here it says that it's talking about action in the mode of passion. And from passion comes lust. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Kama esha krodesha rajaguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma vidyainam ihavaryanam. That this lust is the sinful, all-devouring enemy of mankind, and it is born from the mode of passion. And it's sitting in the next verse. It says, in the following verse, it says that the sitting place of this lust is the senses, the mind, and intelligence. So when our mind becomes overcome by lust, then the symptom is that dushpure nanalena cha. It burns like fire. Lust burns like fire with so many different desires. And the more you try to satisfy those desires, the more it actually flames up the fire. It's just like if you try to put more fuel into the fire, it just becomes bigger and bigger. So similarly, if we try to satisfy our lust means material desires. If we try to satisfy our material desires by, just catering to their demands, the demands of the mind, then actually what happens is that we become more and more unsatisfied. It's the opposite of what we think. Just by trying to satisfy our desires, we can never become satisfied. So what is the logical way to put out a fire? Water, yeah. But another way is to stop supplying it fuel. If you stop putting fuel into the fire, it will go out. So similarly, if we stop trying to satisfy our desires, gradually they'll become less and less. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 2nd chapter, Apuryamana machala pratishtan samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantim apnoti nakamakami. That when a man is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires, which enter into the mind constantly, like rivers entering into the ocean, which is ever being filled but remains always still, then he alone can attain peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy those desires. So Krishna is saying in this verse that we have to become like the ocean, that even though there are so many desires, we should just ignore them and not try to run after them, to work hard to try to fulfill all those desires. And that is the only way that we can attain peace, not the one who tries to satisfy them. And how can we attain to this peace is described in the Bhagavad Gita also, that one who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness, then he can attain peace. And without peace, there's no question of happiness. So in the beginning, it may seem like a bit difficult, that because we do identify with our mind at this moment, so it's hard to think that these are not my desires and I shouldn't fulfill them. We'll feel like uncomfortable if we can't fulfill our desires. But we should just try to understand that, have faith in Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita, and understand that there has to be some effort also. Like if you want to achieve something, you have to put in some effort. The saying is, no pain, no gain. So we have to first of all determine what we want to achieve, and then we can decide what's worth putting in effort for. Because if you want to satisfy your desires, you also have to work hard. Here in this verse it says, action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires. So if we want to satisfy all our desires, we also have to work hard. And people do work hard in this world to try to satisfy their desires. But what is the result? The result is they might get some happiness, but it's temporary. And the thing is that until we get to the spiritual platform, the only experience of happiness we have in this world is the satisfaction of the senses. So many people think that there is nothing more than this. But actually there is something greater. And this is what Krishna is telling us in the Bhagavad Gita, that there's actually eternal happiness. There's a way to attain eternal happiness and true satisfaction of the self. And happiness is not just about satisfying the senses of this body, which is not even us. This body is just a covering. So so we should try to understand that there's something beyond satisfying the senses, and then we can put in our effort for that. In the Bhagavatam, there's a nice verse. It says, "Nayang deho deha bhajam nirloke, kashtan kaman arhate ved pujamye, tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam, shudyad yasmad brahmasokyam tvanantam." Lord Rishabhadev is an incarnation of Lord Krishna, and he's speaking to his sons. He's saying that of all the living entities who have taken their birth, those who have attained the human form of life, they shouldn't work hard day and night to satisfy, just for sense gratification, which is available even for the animals. Rather, they should engage themselves in austerity and penance to attain to the divine position of devotional service. And because by such activity, one's heart is purified, and then one can attain to the stage of eternal blissful life. And so, these are nice instructions for us, because we have to realize that there are so many forms of life, but none of them have sufficient intelligence to actually understand God or a spiritual life, or put solution to the problems of life. The big problems of life, like disease, birth, death, old age. So in this human form of life, we have been given the special ability to understand spiritual knowledge, and so we should take advantage of this and try to use our time to advance in spiritual life and purify our heart from the effects of these modes of material nature, and then to attain to the position of pure devotional service, and by which we can understand, we can attain to that pure happiness, the real happiness, which is eternal. Because happiness attained from sense gratification is very temporary, just like when you eat, it's over in a few minutes. And any happiness that we get from our senses is temporary. So we should, since we're eternal, then our aspiration is also to attain eternal happiness. So only that eternal happiness can really satisfy us. So we should aim for that. And how do we attain to this divine position of devotional service? There's a nice verse in the Bhagavatam which describes this. It's Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hridkarna rasayana kata dajjoshanara shrapavarga vartmani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishati. That by hearing about the glories of the Lord and the association of devotees, by this process, Shraddha, Ratir, and Bhakti, the faith, attraction, and devotional service, they all become manifest in our heart. So the beginning is Shraddha. The first step in devotional service is faith, and this is attained by associating with devotees. And the first process, most important process also of devotional service, is hearing. So when we hear in the association of devotees, this is very powerful in awakening devotional service in us, starting devotional service. So we should try to take advantage of the association of devotees and try to hear about Krishna from them, and also to chant Krishna's holy names, and with a little bit of faith. And this will take us forward in our devotional service. And devotional service is so nice that you can actually start to feel the effects of devotional service, even while you're in the beginning stages. You can begin to feel the first glimmers of that transcendental happiness, which is transcendental to the much higher than the happiness we get from sense gratification. And then when we get that spiritual taste, then sense gratification automatically becomes insignificant, and we're no longer attracted by it. And then we become fixed in our devotional service, and we want to increase our devotional service more and more. So this is the process of devotional service. I thought that a nice example of this verse here is Dhruva Maharaj, because this verse talks about action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego. So Dhruva Maharaj, he had a great desire. He had a desire to attain a kingdom greater than his grandfather. And in order to attain that kingdom, he underwent great effort. And it was in a sense of false ego, because he was thinking that I'm the prince and I should get the kingdom. So the story goes that once there was a king called Uttanapad, and he had two wives. One was Suruchi and one was Suniti. So Suruchi was the favorite queen, and Suniti was like neglected. And Suniti's son was Dhruva, and Suruchi had a son also called Uttam. So one day the two boys, they were playing, and then Uttam, he went and sat on his father's lap. And then Dhruva, he also came, and he also wanted to sit on his father's lap. But because Suruchi was there, then the king, he didn't want to take his other wife's son on his lap, because he thought that Suruchi might get angry at him. So he just ignored Dhruva. But Dhruva was trying to climb up on his father's lap. His father was sitting on the throne. And but seeing this, Suruchi, she said to Dhruva that, don't try to climb up on the throne. If you want to sit on the throne, then you have to take birth in my womb. So Dhruva became very upset by that, and he went crying, and he went running to his mother. And when his mother heard that, she also started to cry, because she knew that there was nothing she could do, because the king was not attached to her. So, but she said that if you want to get help, then the only person that I think can help you is Lord Krishna. So then Dhruva was like, how should I get Krishna? How can I get Krishna's help? So then she said that, I heard that the sages, they find Krishna in the forest. So then he just went to the forest to try to find Krishna. And by Krishna's mercy, he sent Narada Muni on the way. So Narada Muni came and gave him, first he tried to convince him to go back. He's like, why are you taking this so seriously? You're just a child. The forest is a dangerous place for you. You can't stay here. But Dhruva was very determined. So then Narada Muni was pleased by his determination, and then he gave him instructions on how to worship Krishna. And so Dhruva Maharaj, he underwent great austerity to attain Krishna. It's described that for the first month, he just ate leaves and berries. He just ate fruits and berries from the forest. And I think it was every third day. And then in the second month, he just dried leaves every sixth day. And the third month, he just drank air every 9 days. And then the fourth month, he didn't, drink water, no? Yeah, drink water also. And in the third month, he drank only water for every 9 days. And the fifth month, he just swallowed some air for every 12 days. And then on the sixth month, he didn't drink, he didn't even breathe any air. And he was just standing on one leg. So this is great effort. So finally, Vishnu was pleased with him. It said that actually his austerity was so powerful that there was like heat coming out from his body that was so strong that it was like burning the demigods and everyone. So the demigods, they were just like, what is this? They approached Lord Vishnu and they're like, please do something. So then Vishnu came down and he said, yes, Dhruva, I'm here. What would you like? And so then Dhruva was once he saw Lord Vishnu standing before him, he was so stunned. He was just like, oh my God, what did I pray for? I've just prayed for a kingdom, but now I have Vishnu standing before me here. And he felt bad that he was just asking for something just so like insignificant. What he said is that I was praying to you for broken glass, but now I've seen that you have appeared here, and that's like diamonds. So Krishna was kind to him, that he gave him his desire, that he wanted a kingdom greater than his father, so he gave him the kingdom. But he also said that because you worship me, then after enjoying the kingdom, then you also come back to me and you will attain to the eternal kingdom of God. So then Dhruva was satisfied. So we see that action in the mode of passion performed in the sense of false ego. It's it always, you have to do a great effort to attain it. But in this case, Dhruva Maharaj was fortunate because he worshipped Vishnu. So then, even though he had a material desire, it was purified because he came in contact with Vishnu. That's why there's the famous verse in the Bhagavatam, Akama Sarva Kama Va, Moksha Kama Udaradi, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, Yajeta Purusham Param. That even if we have material desires, we should still worship Krishna, because just by worshiping Krishna, we'll automatically give up all these desires when we experience how wonderful Krishna is. We'll just want to engage in devotional service to Krishna. So this is the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. So in this, in the next verse, it talks about the mode of ignorance. Action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage, or for violence or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So the example that came to my mind of this is Ravana, that he disregarded the scriptural injunctions, and he stole Lord Rama's wife, Sita. Actually, it's passion and ignorance, because he had a great desire to satisfy his senses, and he was also acting from a sense of false ego. And then, he disregarded scriptural injunctions. He stole away Sita from Lord Ram. He didn't care about future bondage, or for violence or distress caused to others. So this is the attitude of the demons. And what happens to them? They ultimately get destroyed. So these attitudes are very detrimental to our progress, so we should try to give them up. And the purport, Prabhupada says, one has to give account of one's actions to the state, or to the agents of the Supreme Lord, called the Yamadutas. So some people may think that, oh, this is fiction, that at the time of death some scary-looking guys are going to come and, tie a noose around your neck and take you away. But there's actually one devotee who has actually seen these Yamadutas. He was telling the story that he was drinking a lot, so he drank a bit too much, and he was almost unconscious, and he was about to die. And then he said he saw the Yamadutas, these really scary looking people, and they were coming after him, and he was trying to run away, and they were coming after him, and And then he was saying, no, please give me another chance. And then they were like, okay, I'll give you another chance. So then he recovered, and then he came to the temple, and he actually became a devotee. And he said that this was Srivas Prabhu. Do you remember him telling the story? Yeah. So then he took it seriously. Like, no, I don't want to see those Yamadutas again. So then he became a good devotee. He was my teacher. So yeah, there's actually been people who have seen the Yamadutas. So, and this is described in the Bhagavatam also, about the pastime of Ajamil, how the Yamadutas came to him. So it said that for the atheist, they don't believe in God, but they have to accept God when he comes as death and takes everything away from them. So we should be intelligent enough to accept God before we die, so that we can actually we can do something to please him, so that we don't have to suffer after death. Because Krishna is kind to everybody, but for those who just ignore him, then he lets them do their own thing. And for those who are not surrendered to Krishna, then they're under the laws of material nature. And the laws of material nature are very strict. But for one who surrenders to Krishna, then Krishna takes care of him. He says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja am tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Just surrender unto me, and I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So that's the position of the devotees. They're not afraid of death, because they know that Krishna is going to protect them from all kinds of sinful reactions. Although, of course, the devotee, he never performs any sinful reactions, because he knows that that's not pleasing to Krishna. But whatever he has done in the past, that before surrendering to Krishna, Krishna resolves all of that for the devotee. So the devotee doesn't have to be worried about the consequences of his sinful activities that he performed in the past. So this is the nice position of devotional service. Prahlad Maharaj, he says to his students, to his classmates, Prahlad Maharaj was the son of a demon, great demon Hiranyakashipu, but he was a devotee because he had the chance of hearing about devotional service from the great devotee Narada Muni when he was in the womb of his mother. So even though he was born in a demoniac family, he was a great devotee from birth. So yeah, when his father sent him to school, all his classmates were also demons, and none of them were interested in spiritual life. But Prahlad Maharaj was so enthusiastic in devotional service, because he was always relishing the bliss of devotional service. He wanted to share it to all his friends. So he was telling them that Komaram acharit pragyo, that we should practice this devotional service from early age of life, because his friends were like, okay, maybe it's a good thing, devotional service, but now we're children. Now let's just play. Why should we bother about devotional service? And we can do that later in life. But Prahlad Maharaj is like, no, don't wait for later. Later you'll be married, and then you'll have so many responsibilities. And then if you wait for when you're old, then your body is like, you can't function properly, you don't have energy to even do much. So better you start now. Do your devotional service now as soon as you can. And because actually the human form of life, it's relatively short. And in devotional service, we have a lot to do to purify our heart. So those who are fortunate of us, like all of you who have come in contact with this philosophy, with the knowledge of how to perform devotional service, we should take it seriously and not procrastinate, thinking, leave it, I can do this later, I can get serious later, because actually we never even know when we're going to die. Like Parikshit Maharaj, he thought he was a young man. He had a kingdom, but suddenly he got cursed to die in 7 days. So he was fortunate that he knew that at least he could die that at least he had 7 days to prepare for his death. And so he did that. But we don't know when we're going to die. So we should be prepared for death at any moment, which can come at any moment. And so we should take advantage to make the best use of this great opportunity that we have been given, and also give this opportunity to others, because many people are suffering out there just because of lack of knowledge. In this verse, it talks about violence. The action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse, it says, that talks about being non-violent, that's one of the qualities that's conducive for devotional service. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that actually that non-violence means not to cause distress to others. And he explains that real non-violence means to not give people Krishna consciousness. Because if we see that people are suffering because of lack of Krishna consciousness and we don't give it to them, we just ignore them and let them continue suffering, then that's violence. Just like if a doctor, he has the cure and he sees that people are dying from a disease and he has the cure and he doesn't give it to them. So that's violence. So devotees, as devotees, we also have the responsibility to share this knowledge with others who are suffering without it. So we should try to give this knowledge to others, and that's Krishna says that one who gives this knowledge to others is most dear to him. So this is the way to get Krishna's special mercy, to try to give this knowledge to others also. First of all, to try to accept it in our own life, because actually we can't preach so effectively if we don't practice it ourselves. So the best way to preach is to first to practice it yourself, and then you can preach it effectively. So to practice ourselves and then to preach, that's the way to get Krishna's mercy. And when we get Krishna's mercy, then we become happy. So there are 10 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any comments? Yeah?
What can we do to make Krishna happy?
Krishna happy? Well, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vashisi satyam te pratijani priyosime. He says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So if Krishna is telling us to do these things, that means that he'll be happy if you do those things, right? And Krishna also says that I'm even more pleased if you serve my devotees. So I think, as far as I understand, there are two things which especially please Krishna a lot. That is serving his devotees and preaching Krishna consciousness to others, glorifying him to others, so that others will become attracted to reawaken their relationship with him. So these things. Yeah?
Thank you for the very good class.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could say how we can protect ourselves from material desires, because even though, like you said, it's Krishna says whether we have material desires or not, we just have to worship him. But still, from the example of Dhruva Maharaj, we know that he was actually regretting that he had those material desires because he had to waste so much time ruling the kingdom instead of going back to God's
Right, yeah.
purification. avoid this unnecessary fulfillment of our desires? How can we protect ourselves?
Yeah, okay, thank you for your nice question. So, yeah, as long as we have material desires, then Krishna will arrange that we'll have to fulfill those desires, because Krishna always fulfills our desires. So if we don't want to have to waste time fulfilling those desires, then we should engage in devotional service, because when we engage in devotional service, then we get the higher taste. And then all those desires, they become insignificant and we no longer desire them. They just go away. So, yeah, the best course is to just engage ourselves in devotional service, really with full attention. So there are two things important. One is what you do, and one is the attitude with which you do it. So you were asking what would make Krishna happy. So those things, if we do those things, but we should also do them with the right attitude, that I'm doing this just to please you, Krishna. And we really make a conscious effort to do it to the best of our ability, just to get Krishna's mercy, and pray to Krishna to please reveal himself to us so that we can become attracted to him. Then we'll actually get the taste for devotional service. Because if we just do it mechanically, then it's not so satisfying. Because actually devotional service means we have to engage our mind and consciousness to be doing it properly and to get the desired result of devotional service, which is love for Krishna, and which is satisfying to us, and which will make us automatically give up all material desires and the consequent material suffering that would have to undergo if we had to enjoy or suffer all those desires. So yeah. Would anybody like to add something? Yeah? Thank you, Krishna.
As you're talking about the passion by taking the decision, how do you differentiate by taking the decision whether it is in the passion or in the goodness? By taking the decision.
Taking decisions.
Taking decision. How do we differentiate the mode of goodness and the mode of passion?
Well, action in the mode of passion is usually driven by desires for for sense gratification, for personal sense gratification, for sense enjoyment. And mode of goodness is usually more to benefit others. It's more selfless. Yeah, it said that happiness in the mode of passion is based on immediate gratification, whereas happiness in the mode of goodness is happiness that first in the beginning it seems like it's suffering, but at the end, then it gives you happiness at the end. So decisions based on the mode of passion would be like for a child to just play and just enjoy all day, whereas in the mode of goodness, the child would think that, no, I should go to school, because then in the future I'll be able to get a proper position in society. Long term, yeah. That's one thing. Would anybody like to add anything to answer his question? Yeah, pray to Krishna. Krishna will give you intelligence how to make good decisions. Yeah.
In response to the previous question that what to do when you have material desires, that we can also pray to Krishna, please
Yeah, thank you.
helps to make clear actually to show us that, to teach us that those desires are not worth pursuing, that they're not to be desired. Material things are not to be desired. And we give up the desires.
Thank you for sharing. Anything else? Okay, we can stop here. Then we'll have the Sandhya Arati in a few minutes. Thank you for your all kind attention and bearing with me. Hare Krishna.